in a real way.
Yeah, you know, like any guitar player or musician could put together a tribute to Eddie, but it would be great if because the rest of us are still here.
Yeah,
If anything could happen with us all being involved too, being as
yeah.
we were.
Michael Anthony just made a decision that shocked Van Halen fans everywhere. And now the reunion tour dream may be completely dead. Michael Anthony may have just crushed one of rock fans' biggest dreams because according to recent reports, the former Van Halen bassist is not jumping at the idea of a full Van Halen reunion tour. And for longtime fans, this is not just another band rumor. This hits deep because Van Halen is one of those names that still carries a massive emotional charge in American rock culture. Even years after Eddie Van Halen's passing, fans continued to imagine one final celebration, one last stage, one last night where the music feels alive again. But the problem is simple. A Van Halen reunion is not simple anymore. It is not just about calling a few musicians, booking arenas, and turning on the lights. The band's history is full of tension, lineup changes, old wounds, and massive expectations. Michael Anthony knows that better than anyone. He was not just the bass player. His backing vocals, stage presence, and chemistry with the band helped shape the classic Van Halen sound. So when his name comes up in reunion talk, fans immediately pay attention. Now the big question is, why would Michael Anthony reject something that fans want so badly? The answer may be respect. Respect for Eddie, respect for the legacy, respect for the fact that some things cannot be recreated just because the demand is there. A reunion tour without Eddie Van Halen would never be a normal reunion. It would be a tribute, a celebration, maybe even a farewell. But calling it Van Halen would come with a huge emotional weight, and that is where fans are divided. Some believe a tribute tour could be beautiful, especially if it brought together people connected to the band's different eras. Others feel the Van Halen name should be left untouched. For Michael Anthony, the decision seems to be less about money and more about meaning. He has continued performing Van Halen classics with Sammy Hagar and other musicians, but a full reunion under the Van Halen banner is a completely different situation. This also comes at a time when interest in Van Halen's unreleased material and legacy projects is rising again. Alex Van Halen has been linked to efforts involving old Eddie recordings, and fans are watching every update closely. But Michael Anthony has made it clear in past conversations that Eddie's guitar work should remain the center of any tribute. That tells you where his heart is. He is not trying to erase the past. He is trying to protect it, so while the headline sounds dramatic, the real story may be even more emotional. Michael Anthony is not rejecting Van Halen fans. He may be rejecting the idea of turning a sacred legacy into something that feels forced. And in rock and roll, sometimes the hardest thing is not getting back on stage. Sometimes the hardest thing is knowing when not to.